This is Teesside Cannabis Club. It's a club in Stockton-on-Tees where members pay an annual fee to come and blaze, toke, or other synonyms I found on a list called cool things to call smoking weed. But this is the UK. Cannabis is a Class B controlled substance. So how the hell does that work? Also known as the Exhale Harm Reduction Centre, the club is primarily aimed at medical cannabis users, and their philosophy is simple.
We know people are going to use cannabis no matter what. We're just trying to remove as many harms as possible from that, if that makes sense.
The front of the shop is a fairly standard head shop, where members and non-members alike can buy stickers, ashtrays, and other weed merch. But only members can head through the back.
So this is like where the magic happens, if you would say, on MTV. So this is like the main lounge bit. This is what you would call the Cannabis Club. If the Exhale Harm Reduction Centre has a lounge or a club, this is it here. Yeah, but we get a lot of celebrities that get in touch, obviously when they're playing locally, and we'll work with them, and that's how we've met a lot of people over the years. A lot of them we can't obviously take a photograph of them or...
No. When you say work with them?
Providing services. Members can sign up, pay a yearly subscription. The subscription allows them to come to the premises, and then they can access a range of services ranging from mental health services, cannabis health related services, pick up merchandise, products, whatever else they need. And we have a wealth of information and services available for people, and we also work with other services in the area to put people into mental health or drug rehabilitation or alcohol dependency, and we provide these services hand in hand, obviously, over the years with the authorities in order to make sure that they were tailor-made to fit the community. Our current members that use this service range from the age of maybe 20, 21, 22, but not a lot of members that age. And our mean age would be 35 to 65, 70. Our oldest members, 89. We have a lot of members that are over the age of 65 that rely on our services. We provide a safe place for people that would never really engage with people on the street. Dangerous Dave who sells some narcotics, they don't want to go deal with him to go get hold of some cannabis or smoke cannabis. So we are necessary evil.
Where does the cannabis come from?
Cannabis is derived from the members, and basically it's just the community that are sharing that amongst themselves, if that makes sense. So it's a cooperative between the members. We don't encourage them to break the law, we don't encourage them to grow cannabis. If members are already growing cannabis, then we just help them obviously to relocate that cannabis between themselves.
How does that work?
Members will come into the club, they'll come down, they'll come and speak to a member of staff. After they spoke to a member of staff, the staff will find out what the member's looking for, what services they're after, and then we'll put them into the right direction of how they can access that.
By now, your narc brain is probably kicking in, and wondering why Cleveland police aren't kicking the door down. Although cannabis is still illegal, and possession could land you with 5 years in prison, Michael worked with various police forces to design the model for the club. Members of the centre are given a card, which shows police they are medical cannabis users. But ultimately, arrest remains at the discretion of the officer.
But there's a lot of common sense thinking police officers out there now that understand that cannabis isn't a gateway drug. In fact, it's an exit drug for a lot of people. And a lot of our middle-aged members are ex-alcoholics or ex-drug dependent people that literally rely on the cannabis now, instead of relying on the alcohol or relying on the harder drugs that they were using. And I think that's really important, like for our members and for our community as a whole. We want all the funds to go back into our local communities, and we want our communities to feel safe. These should be in every council estate, these should be on every high street, they should be everywhere. It works, the brand, the club itself works.
How much is representing Teesside important to you?
I know that we haven't got a lot going on, I know that we're trapped up north, I know that it's an industrial town with not a lot, but with cannabis, the northeast of England could be the new Amsterdam. Like, you've got Durham, you've got Newcastle, you've got all these ports and ferries from Amsterdam straight over. It's ideal, do you know what I mean? Like, and that's what I think needs to happen for revenue for these towns and for these little sleepy mining towns. Is this kind of cannabis is smoked in every town, every village, and if it isn't available to buy, they're growing it themselves. You're never going to stamp it out. It's a natural plant that was available up until someone decided, hang on a minute, we're going to license this and make it illegal for you to grow it, and then all of a sudden for you and I, it's no longer viable or feasible for us to access it without risking a criminal charge. Bullshit, mate, and that's what people like me are here for, and that's what we'll fight for.
Michael is proposing a radical rehaul of British drug policy. in a country that seems to be aiming its drug laws not at the safety of drug users, but at Middle Englanders who wanted to see Mandela hanged. When the Scottish Government proposed plans to decriminalise all drugs for personal use, it was immediately quashed. The Cannabis Club is reminiscent of the efforts of drug campaigner Peter Crikand, who set up a drug consumption van for injecting drug users in Glasgow, at the expense of both his job and his sobriety.
I think the point I'm making about Peter and yourself is that you have the empathy for
The user.
And it seems drug policy seems to be a real lack of empathy. It seems to be drug users are criminal. They're othered. They're not your average person on the high street.
That's the thing. Like, so I go back to the older members. Some of these gentlemen and ladies are your nanas and your granddads that you'd never guess in a million years would use these services. They never would have used these services until Jeremy Kyle did his documentary, and he changed 15 years of their opinions overnight just by him opening up the door to us. That gave them safe access. We've had people who've literally gone to the doctors, and the doctors have said there's a cannabis harm reduction centre. If you try to sign up to them, they'll get referred in. And we do reductions for OAPs, for veterans, for people that are in the services, even for retired police officers.
What must be frustrating for Michael is the lack of police support for their very own model. Regardless, Michael is not deterred and is determined to serve as an example for a more sensible, safer drug policy.
All we need is police forces to look at this and think, you know what, we need to save money, we need to save funding, and we need to redirect our resources, and the only way that we can do that is through working with organisations like us, working not a model that's just come out of thin air. This is a police model, this is your model. I'm operating and I'm the face of a police model that literally you've helped me formulate to work and provide the best, highest standards of safety and care to the community. And like, I might get labelled this, that and the other, but the bottom line is they have so much money that they can do their police work with and their police forces funding it to business. We can save them hundreds of thousands of pounds just off them working with us. If you turn a blind eye to our members that have their cards, if they catch them with cannabis, bearing in mind that you can now turn your blind eye to the medical licence prescriptions, so why not to these that you know? Which we've had happen, like I said, over the years. We're a little shitty town, like I said, up in the northeast of England. Put me in London and watch the 5,000 members I have, 6,000 members I have. Watch that money back into your communities. Put me in Birmingham, watch it fold and turn. Put me anywhere and you'll see, you know, like, and I know you're always going to have your criminal intent and your criminal gangs. Our record and background speaks for itself. It might come across as crazy, I don't know, but while there's a breath in my body, I'll fight for everyone that is a member of it. If you stand on for this club and if you join us as a member, I will fight to the death for you, and that's the way this has always been.